3-10 season. Not what Chicago fans are used to. Haven't won a division since 2018. Haven't won a playoff game in like over a decade. I think it was Jay Cutler was the last quarterback to win a playoff game for the Bears. Last few seasons have been real rough, just going down and down. Listen, they went 3-10, and honestly, that San Francisco game, that was a fluke. I mean, that should have been a loss. San Francisco was up 10-0 at half, but that, weird things happen in that monsoon. Things bounce your way, people slip. But they got the win. 3-10, had the number 1 overall pick, but not what Chicago Bears fans are used to. And I think the biggest shock was them trading away all the defensive pieces. Because their defense, you think Chicago Bears, you think, oh, at least they'll have a solid defense. No, they were the worst defense in the league last year, I believe, against the pass. So I don't know, Ryan, as a Chicago Bears fan, how have you been feeling the last couple seasons?
Last season was rough. Last season, obviously 17-game season, but it's the most losses we've had in franchise history. 14, that is the worst we've ever seen. We also had the number 1 draft pick for the first time since, I believe, like 1947. We traded it away.
Like World War II.
Right. And we traded it away because we got Justin Fields. And when it all comes down to it, that is going to be the determining factor going forward the next several years of Chicago Bears. How will Justin Fields do? If he does well, everything's going to be sitting pretty for the Chicago Bears and everybody's mind. If he doesn't see the progression that people are expecting, or if he can't live up to this, in my opinion, some insane hype that people are putting on him, it's not going to work out well for the Bears. You brought up a perfect point, was the Bears defense. Last year was not Chicago Bears football. And you bring in a guy like Eberflus, and you assume that this defense is going to be rock solid, right? That's what you're assuming will happen. That has not happened. And they trade away Roquan Smith, and Roquan demanded a trade. He wanted to be traded. Was it because of money? I don't know. But you trade away Roquan Smith, who is easily one of the top 3 middle linebackers or inside linebackers, whichever you're going to play in. But one of the top 3 guys at that position in the league.
Young, too. Young. I didn't realize he got drafted in 2018.
Yes, and he's drafted by Chicago, developed by Chicago. Chicago trades him away for pennies on the dollar. But then you give somebody else money. You give Tremaine Edwards a lot of money to come and be a lesser version of Roquan Smith. So that's really a question a lot of Bears fans have in their minds. And also just in general, the decisions that they made. You do that, you go out and you spend a lot of money on a guard, right? You spend a lot of money on the guard position. They needed to fix that offensive line. They drafted your boy from Tennessee too, Crickett. That's right. Tackle for him, Darnell. But he's hopefully going to help shore that up. Your guard's hopefully going to shore that up. They made a couple pickups. The DJ Moore pickup's going to be the big one that a lot of people talk about because you need weapons for Justin Fields. That's the complaint. He didn't have enough weapons. You can't complain about that now. Might not be the most elite weapons, but between DJ Moore, Mooney, and Claypool, and he's got people to throw the ball to, including Cole Kmet at tight end, who can be highly utilized.
Yeah.
So you've got these pieces. The real question is, what does Justin Fields do with it? Justin Fields has not been an impressive passer in the NFL. That's just the reality. He's an athletic guy, make plays with his legs, and those plays tend to open things up in the pass game. But he hasn't passed very much, and he hasn't passed very successful in the NFL so far.
And that's the biggest question is he going to take the next step? And they've made all the excuses. People have made excuses for him. There's no excuse this year. Like you said, they got DJ Moore, who's going to be wide receiver number 1, which allows Mooney now to go back to being in the slot, doing what he does best, not being the main guy. He cannot be wide receiver number 1. And you got Claypool, and there's an excuse that, hey, Claypool, now that he has a whole offseason, maybe they can get more in sync. You've got weapons. We're going to see if he can throw the ball or not, because guess what? The Bears have a huge decision to make by May of 2024 of whether they're going to exercise his 5th-year option or not. And I don't know, Ryan, I want to get your opinion on this. I said before the draft, since they had the number 1 overall pick, I said, you should trade Fields now while people are still I don't know. I don't get the hype on him, but there was legit hype in the NFL, at least with some teams, on Justin Fields. Trade him away because this is the highest value you're going to get on him unless he ends up taking the next step and showing that he can be a quarterback in this league. I said you should have traded him, and you should have just drafted one of the two QBs that you wanted, whether it was Young or Stroud, whatever one you liked, because guess what? The whole point about this is they brought in a new GM and head coach last year. I believe they're both in their second year this season. They're building a team. And we've seen over the new NFL, the best value you can get in the NFL is getting a quarterback on a rookie contract. So that just extends your window. Yeah. And people want to say, well, Stroud played under Fields. I'm like, look at Stroud's passing yards in college. It was way better than Fields. So I feel like there's not that big of a gap between either of those players, and it gives you more time to build. Because if they ended up extending him, and then after that, this year they do his 5th year option, then they've got to, quarterback now makes, you got to extend him for 5 years, $250 million. How do you feel about 5 years, $250 million with Justin Fields? I just don't see it.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea of, this guy started in front or behind this guy, it's like, okay, I believe Tom Brady was a backup quarterback in Michigan for a while.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, exactly. So these things happen. There's a pecking order in college as well, and people develop in different ways. What I was looking at is like, you have this number 1 pick. I don't think they got a lot for it. I didn't feel like I get it. You get the wide receiver. I don't feel like they got a lot of value for that number 1 pick. I think they really lost on that trade based on what we've even seen Chicago give up to move up 1 spot in the fucking draft to get Mitch Trubisky. Right. I just think that was, they weren't big winners for this piece. This is such a valuable piece that you haven't had in so long. I would have been all for trading Fields and then maybe even considering moving out of the number 1 spot, like to somebody that really wanted Bryce Young, and then you swap the 2 with them and you end up getting Stroud, whatever, right? There could have been things you did with that. I would have been for that.
Maybe that's, inexperienced GM because he's new to this. So I don't know.
Yeah. And maybe it's because people didn't feel, because they were so outspoken in their support of Fields, people didn't think they had any leverage. And they knew they wanted to move out of that number 1 pick. But either way, when I look at Justin Fields, I don't have faith that he's going to develop into this person. Now, I've also said the same exact thing about Jalen Hurts, right? I have been fucking hammering Jalen Hurts since the Eagles decided to start him. I was like, this is not going to be successful. I don't think it's long-term sustainable, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, Jalen Hurts had an incredible season last year. The Eagles had an incredible season last year. And I still have my questions about that.
I'm right there with you on that. I'm right there with you on
will that be sustainable when it seems to be limited what you can do just straight up if you eliminate the running game and you're forced to pass, if you get in a passing situation, can he do it?
Or you can't do the stupid quarterback sneaks on 4th and 1.
Exactly. Justin Fields, there's so much hype in Chicago, and I can tell you as a Chicago fan, we are desperate fans, right? We want so badly to have a fucking quarterback. The best quarterback in our history is Jay Cutler. That's just the reality. Now, obviously,
smoking Jay Cutler.
Yeah, obviously, Jim McMahon. We won some, won a Super Bowl with Jim McMahon and stuff like this. But Jay Cutler is the best quarterback the Bears have ever had. And when that's your franchise, you are constantly searching for the next guy. And we did it with Mitch Trubisky. And it's funny because the same things you're hearing about, the same things you are hearing about Justin Fields in terms of, he's got a lot of bets for MVP. It's the same stuff you heard from Mitch Trubisky in 2019. There's a big difference though. Mitch Trubisky in 2019 was coming off a season where they were 12-4 and went to the wild card, lost to the Eagles. Whereas Justin Fields is coming off the worst season in Chicago Bears history with a number 1 draft pick. And I don't know if there's going to be a team around him that is going to allow him to compete for an MVP. To me, Chicago Bears are probably if they win 7 games, that'll meet my expectations this year. That's kind of where it's at for me.
Didn't y'all pass?
What do you think, Crickett?
Didn't y'all pass on Patrick Mahomes to take Mitchell Trubisky
and Deshaun Watson?
And Deshaun Watson. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Pour salt in the wound, baby.
And we traded up to get him for no reason. San Francisco wasn't going to take him. Nobody wanted to move up there, and they swindled us into giving up picks for him.
Oh man,
my God.
Oh yeah, I don't know, man.
Patrick Mahomes. Listen. It's not like everybody was on the Patrick Mahomes train and people
fair.
were really like, oh my God, I can't believe the Bears passed on Patrick Mahomes. Nobody thought he was going to be who he is. But
I think
everybody saw something.
Yeah.
That's for sure, though.
Yeah, but everybody was saying, why did they take him right here at the same time? Everybody thought Andy Reid was a fool for taking him right there, too.
Oh
They
yeah,
thought that
I
was
remember
way
that
too
because they
high.
had
Oh
Alex
yeah, it's
Smith
not
at the
like
time.
now Deshaun Watson. I could have seen a little more. He was coming off a national championship and all that, so he was. I think he finished second or third in the Heisman that year. So I mean that was a little bit different. Patrick Mahomes kind of came out of nowhere, so I can live with missing that. But I don't know, man. I think it's going to be more of the same for the Bears this year. Like you guys said, I don't know that I see Justin Fields being the guy. I would like to see him take another big step up, but like Ryan said earlier, man, I've just not seen him be able to throw the ball in the pocket very well at the NFL level. Most of the plays he creates with his legs allows him for some of that stuff to open up the offense, kind of busted plays type things.
Yes.
And I just don't know. I can watch him. I don't think he's going to be the drop back passer you need in today's NFL to really be able to throw the ball well enough to give his team a chance to win. I just don't think he's
But
that
Cricket,
guy.
didn't you see he went 3 for 3, 129 yards in the on
2
those
passes
screen passes
behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
One, which was like the most poorly thrown screen pass you could imagine, that still happened to go 60 yards.
Man.
But, when you have a guy, I always feel this way about these guys who are big threats running the ball. You end up having plays that break open that other quarterbacks don't.
right.
Play because you have to account for that. And that is a factor when you look at a guy. Like you can't just ignore it. It's a huge positive. The fact that if Justin Fields is back there, dancing around scanning, that's way different than, say, Tom Brady. Not that he's playing anymore, but Tom Brady back there, because you don't have to account for him. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about him, taking something 80 yards to the house. You have to worry about it with Justin Fields. So I think that just that threat alone does allow for things to be more open, and these broken plays that sometimes happen to end up in 70-yard touchdowns as opposed to just maybe a completion. And that's what, to me, that's what people see with Fields. They see the electricity, they see the highlight plays, and they're not really paying attention to what's going on that's not that, right? Even just going through progressions and having, very, not willing to trust your instincts and to throw before your guys open, making these reads. Those are the things that Justin Fields needs to improve on in order to become the guy that Bears fans and a lot of the rest of the NFL are hoping that he will be. And he's got the weapons now, like DJ Moore, Mooney, and Claypool. Cole Kmet is a good tight end. Cole Kmet can be a real threat. We talked about it in the fantasy preview, I think, for the Chicago Bears last year, Cricket. And I said, don't sleep on Cole Kmet.
You did.
Obviously, Justin Fields didn't throw the ball as much as we kind of expected, but Cole Kmet is still a threat if they get him involved in the right way. And then you turn around, you get rid of, you let David Montgomery walk, which I think is a good idea. And you replace him with Khalil Herbert, who in the moments that we've seen of Khalil over the years, he's been good. He's shown a lot of flash, kind of shorter guy, but a lot of speed. I think he's 5'9", 5'10", but quick, agile, speedy guy. And that offense could do things.
Yeah.
Really could. They could put up some numbers.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you answered Patriot 4165's question in the chat. Well, he said Fields needs a legit tight end to get some confidence to stay in the pocket. I was about to say that he has a good tight end. So I mean, he's got weapons. We're gonna see. Yeah, we're gonna see. And by the way, shout out to Bear with the Machine Gun. What up, buddy? He said, "Good morning, party people. How you doing, buddy?" He's over in the Rumble chat. What I was gonna say was, listen, I this is a make or break year for Justin Fields. We got to see if he can actually throw the ball. I'm not surprised, and I haven't seen the betting odds on it yet. I've been keeping my eye out on it. I'm sure it's over on DraftKings and whatnot, but over on Bet Online, I'm waiting to see because they'll post odds of like who's going to get the number 1 overall pick next year. I think there's going to be a lot of value on taking the Bears. Sorry to burst your bubble on this, Ryan, but I think this defense is not going to improve that much. I mean, they're one injury away from it being real bad like last year. So what does that tell me? That tells me that you're going to rely, if your defense is bad, you're going to need to put up points. So that means you're going to rely on Justin Fields' arm and passing yards to get you points. I haven't seen that yet. Therefore, I think there's value. Not saying he can't do it, but I think the market's way too hyped on him being able to take the next step. Therefore, I think I could see value in Chicago ended up with the number 1 overall pick. Now, granted, I know Arizona's bad and Tampa Bay's bad, but I think you get a pretty good ticket on that.
I just think that Chicago Bears front set, really the whole defense, but just not impressive to me when I sit there. I look at the names and I look at their performances. Again, they go out, they get Tremaine Edmonds, real quality dude. He's not Roquan Smith, but they paid a lot of money for him. And they go out and they get TJ Edwards too, who he's put up some great numbers, on that Eagles defense.
Yeah, but look at the front line, man. It's just like there's not
exactly like
there's the rating from Pro Football Focus, and I mean, you got
and you see the names, you're like, who,
Right.
like that's a big thing too. And it's not saying that you need big name guys. Obviously, if you're drafting well and you're developing well, and you getting these, homegrown dudes, then you can do what you need to do. But I just don't know about that from this defense's perspective.
Although I will say Sanborn here was a sneaky free agent, undrafted free agent last year. He actually showed some promise. Now, maybe that's just because they were so bad. Right? He was, maybe he was just had opportunities, but clearly he showed he could play a little bit. So maybe you got something there, a little diamond in the rough to go along with the two big signings you had. We'll see. But the front line, man, you need to have some pressure on quarterbacks in this league. So we'll see. Cricket, should we get into the draft now?
Yeah, man. Let's hop in there. Real quick, I was going to say, would be, there's worse years to just bottom out and have to have the number 1 overall pick. You get in that top 2, you can go ahead and get rid of Justin Fields and get your quarterback of the future. And
that's true. It's not all bad.
So it could be worse.
Caleb Williams tank. Yeah. Also, I mean, and also randomly, the Bears picked up Mercedes Lewis like a couple days ago, which is like
journeyman.
I don't know why. Like, I thought he was done, man.
It's like the Saints. That's like the Saints getting Jimmy Graham again. I go, wait, he's still in the league?
Yeah, I thought Mercedes Lewis is going to be like on CBS or something
for sure by now.
I didn't expect him to be playing in the league this year. He's 39 years old. But I don't think, maybe a big red zone target or something. But I don't see Mercedes having a big impact on this team.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce Chicago's head coach name? How do you pronounce it, Ryan?
Matt Eberflus or Eberflus. I don't know how to say it. Yeah. I say Eberflus, but I don't know. That is a good like Chicago name though. Like it sounds like Polish or something. I don't know if it actually is, but like that's a good Chicago name for a head coach there. But listen, this is a guy who was all about the defense, right? All about the defense at Indianapolis. That Indianapolis Colts squad has had a good defense in the time that he was there. He has to fix this. Like this is his baby. That defense is his baby. Yeah. He should bring that defense and raise them up. So if he doesn't, people are going to be looking at him. He's not an offensive guy. He's got pieces that he thinks is going to be in place to help the offense, but he needs to focus on that defense. I just don't know if it's going to happen.
That's fair.
We'll see.
Well, we'll see. Their first pick, they traded back from the number 1 overall pick back to 9, I think, and then traded again with the Eagles to go back to 10. Wound up taking the big offensive tackle, my guy from Tennessee, Darnell Wright. He is massive. Got great footwork, good balance, got the quickness to reach the second level. I think you did good here, man. I think you found one of your bookends for the next decade. How'd you feel about this pick?
I felt okay about it. My thing was I feel like we very specifically, and it even says it in here, passed on Jalen Carter. And Jalen Carter to me there's questions, about obviously he's got some legal stuff going on with the drag racing or whatever in Georgia. And there were even some questions about his conditioning and stuff like that. I actually met Jalen Carter at the Orlando airport when he was flying to the draft. I got to talk to him for a little bit.
Okay.
I think that Jalen Carter could be a game wrecker. I think he really could be a game wrecker for a couple of years, at that tackle position. Dude. And I
still can't believe the Eagles got both those guys in the first round. It's still mind blowing.
It is. And there's a reason, right? There's a reason that Jalen Carter didn't go 5 or 4, right? Yeah. Because of some of these things. But I think that people might be kicking themselves for passing over that. I think that
he seems like a guy Seattle would take. I know Seattle wanted to get a wide receiver, but that's like a perfect a guy with criminal problems potentially. They bring him in. That's Seattle. I thought Seattle at 22 or whatever they drafted. I was like, oh, this is a perfect fit. No, I mean, I get why they went with a wide receiver. I don't blame them for that. With that second first round pick they had, but I was like, damn, I was shocked.
And I think this is a safe pick, right? That you need to shore up that offensive line. There's no doubt about that. And I think there's good value at Darnell Wright. It's just passing over Jalen is going to be the one thing that people always look back at and question, I think.
I agree with you. Well, their second pick, the 22nd pick in the second round, they do try to shore up that interior of the defensive line a little bit, taking Gervin Dexter, the defensive tackle out of Florida. He's a big guy, man, 6'6", 310, can really plug some holes in that middle there. played a lot of big-time college football in the SEC. Still kind of a raw guy, can be developed a lot. I think this is a solid pick right here. I think this guy, he went a little high for me. He wasn't ranked quite this high, but that was due to some of his lack of development at the college level, and that could be some of that debacle that is the coaching staff down at Florida right now. But I think this guy could be solid, man. It could be somebody that definitely plug and play early on.
As a Patriot fan, go ahead, Ryan.
He's a guy who's so athletic that we don't even really know for sure quite probably what he's going to do yet, what he's going to end up as in the NFL, whether he's going to play, and he could play tackle. Like, just kind of is going to depend, I think. But there's upside to this pick, certainly, and they needed help on the defensive side.
But as a Patriot fan who year after year of the last decade watching them take these high round picks with Florida defensive linemen, and it never works out, don't get your hopes up. That's all I'm going to say. It doesn't work out.
Well, 3 picks later, with the 25th pick in the second round, they take Tyreek Stevenson, the quarterback out of Miami. This is a tall, he's kind of lean. I'd like to see him put a little bit of pounds on, but he's a physical corner, instinctive guy. Is good in the run defense. But this is another player that can be developed, kind of raw. They got some good value right here. I like this guy. Some people expect him to go a little bit higher. I think he would have went a little bit higher had he at Miami had a little bit better season last year. But I think this is a good pick, man. This is a guy that can lock down on the outside. It could be a player in this league for a few years to come.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see how DBs, cornerbacks specifically, are going to transfer depending on the style of play that they had in college, right? Are these guys used to playing primarily just man-to-man? Are they used to doing zone? Are they used to dropping down and covering that shallow route? Things like that. But I didn't watch Tyreek Stevenson too much, to be honest with you. So I didn't have a problem with the pick at all. And again, they definitely need help on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that definitely can be developed into a player. I don't think he did bad there at all. First pick in the third round, Zach Pickens, another DT out of the SEC from South Carolina, 6'4", 291. He's a disruptive pass rusher, a little bit more so than he didn't have the sack numbers in college that you would make you think that, but he's got good quickness, good footwork. He can be quick and disruptive, like I mentioned, but another SEC guy that has played a lot of big-time college football. Y'all really trying to work on that defensive line right here.
Yeah, it's like obviously when you have the worst offense in the league, the worst defense in the league, this is the kind of course correction draft you're going to see. And they did, they did have several picks, in second round, third round, this type of area. Those are guys that can be building blocks of your franchise, right? And all you got to do is hit on half of them. And, that's a huge thing for them. So we'll see what Zach Pickens does.
My man's 305 pounds running a 4.89 40. Damn, that boy moving.
That'd be like getting hit by a Mack truck, man. 13 pick in the fourth round, running back out of Texas, Roschon Johnson, been playing behind Bijan down there. Didn't get a whole lot of carries. Got to fill in a little bit when Bijan was injured last year. But this is a guy, he's pretty patient. He's efficient between the tackles, a hard runner, a good run and pass blocker. So a guy that could really fill in. I think they got some value right here. We didn't get to see a lot of this guy because he was behind the great Bijan Robinson. But this is a player that plugged in at Texas last year and played really well in spots.
I don't know how much time he's going to see. I think the Bears are pretty set with they're pretty set right now with Khalil Herbert as the primary guy and Donta Foreman as the backup. Donta Foreman's also a guy who has not seen much action, at this time in Houston. Right. But so we'll see how much time he gets to see in terms of just traditional running game. I think that's going to be their 1-2 punch. Again, we haven't seen him, man. So it's tough to really know what to expect at all, other than just the testable aspects.
Right.
That's not a bad thing, because I mean, he went to Texas. He had to be pretty damn good at football, right? So he's got fresh legs. Didn't use a lot. Wasn't used much in college. Now he's not, even if for a year or two he's not used in the NFL. If he is actually a legit running back, he might be one of those that blossoms later on at year 3 or 4, and he's got those fresh legs.
That's a great point.
Not much wear and tear. Might be a little something down the road. Good pick that we look back on.
Yeah, that's a great point. Didn't Donta Foreman, didn't he come over from Carolina? Wasn't that where he was at? I thought you said Houston, Ryan. Wasn't he at Carolina?
I think he started at Houston, didn't he?
Okay. I'm not sure. I just remember him last year from Carolina. He had pretty strong the last couple of years when he's been able to stay.
Yeah, he was in Carolina last year. Yeah.
So he's had a few injury problems. I think some hammies and stuff like that, some lower legs. So it wasn't nothing too serious, but he played well when he was in there, man, when he can get the volume. I think him and Khalil Herbert will be a good 1-2 punch. 31st pick in the 4th round, Tyler Scott, wide receiver out of Cincinnati. Not a real big guy, but a burner, man. He's got some good hands. He can track the deep ball really well, can provide maybe some mismatches with his speed on the outside. Another guy that's played a lot of college football for a program that's played in some big-time games out there at Cincinnati. What do you think, man? You got a guy you can put in the slot here and maybe turn into some sort of a possession receiver, maybe slip behind the defense here in spots to get some deep balls?
Well, you're looking at a guy in this team who is probably going to be, the 4th or 5th wide receiver.
Right.
You might throw him out there. You might throw him out there on the end for a couple specific plays, hoping that he can burn the defense with that type of speed. Always a guy you want on the team, right?
Right.
A guy like that has high-end speed that could potentially get past that defense and create a big play, especially when you got a running quarterback like Justin Fields. So
that's fair. 14th pick in the 5th round, Noah Sewell, the inside linebacker from Oregon. This guy was a big part of their defense last year. Defense was not Oregon's strong suit. They obviously got into some shootouts out there in that Pac-12, or should I say the Pac-4. Noah Sewell's a guy that can be developed, but obviously being out on the West Coast, I didn't get to see a whole lot of him last year. What do you know about this guy, Ryan?
Not much. And like when you start to get into these, 5th, 6th round picks,
right?
A lot of it is based on there's a reason they got drafted in the 5th round, and there might be some upside that you think might work in your system when it comes to Noah Sewell. And I think this is just about collecting more pieces to potentially bolster that defense. And yeah, you're right. We're not West Coast guys like Will, so we don't stay up late just to watch the uniforms for Oregon.
That's right. Every now and then.
Well, now that they're going to be part of the Big Ten or whatever, I guess I get to see them more.
That's so weird.
Big 18.
Yeah, the Big 18. No shit. 31st pick in the 5th round, Terrell Smith, cornerback out of Minnesota. This is one of the better defenses in the league in spots last year. One of the better secondaries in the Big Ten throughout. This guy played multiple positions throughout his college career in the secondary, so you can plug and play him about anywhere. I like this pick. I think they got some value here. I really, really do. I think this is a player that's going to step in and play for y'all and make an impact early on.
I like defensive backs that are willing to tackle. You know what I mean? That's what I really like. And exactly. So when you have a guy who's played cornerback, who's played safety, is going to be easier to be able to throw him there in the nickel, who's going to be able to crash and not afraid to tackle a running back. Those kind of defensive backs can make a big difference. And that's the kind of DB that Chicago defense is built off over the years. Right. When you go back and you look at kind of the early 2000s, teams, man, you got to have guys that are willing to get physical, like Charles Tillman, tackle, force some fumbles, stuff like that. So,
absolutely.
Not that he's going to be Charles Tillman, but
right. Let's don't put too much on him right off the bat. But hey, I think you got a solid pick here. He's a guy that's going to step in. He's not afraid to put his nose in there. You're right about that. First pick in the 7th round. We know how these 7th round picks go. You're just kind of shooting and hoping here. But Travis Bell, another defensive tackle out of Kennesaw State. Don't know much about this guy at all. Couldn't really tell you a whole lot about him.
I don't know shit other than he played for Kennesaw State, which I don't know anything about.
Right. I know they're about an hour and a half down the road. That's not too far from me at all, but I do not know a lot about that guy. And their last pick, the 41st pick in the 7th round, Kendall Williamson, cornerback out of Stanford. Another guy I don't know a whole lot about. Know he comes from a good program. Probably been a journeyman at his college program. Obviously a smart guy coming out of Stanford, but another guy I have to wait and see on.
Yeah, same. No idea. They can't even write anything about him in the article.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they can't even tell us about him. They don't even know.
Guy went to Stanford. They can't come up with more than 2 sentences.
Right. But that's the draft, man. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 picks. And so a lot of capital trading back there. I mean, like you said, Ryan, if you can get half of these guys to work out, address a lot of needs. I would like to have seen you address the outside linebacker position a little bit. But other than that, I think you filled some pretty good needs here.
Yeah, obviously they know the weaknesses of the team. Are these guys going to pan out? Are they going to be able to develop them quick enough? I don't know. How much are these guys going to have an impact this year? A couple of them will. We know Darnell Wright will. We know he's the starting tackle right now. But in terms of these other guys at these other positions, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Bears. I think the offense is going to put up some numbers. I don't know if the defense is going to be able to stop anybody. And if Justin Fields makes any mistakes, I think it's going to really come bite him in the ass when you're looking at this type of defense. This isn't a defense like right now. This is not a defense that's going to be able to, hey, if Justin Fields fumbles or if he throws a bad pick, that they're going to be able to stand up and force a 3 and out and have their quarterbacks back. That's not the type of defense.
No,
So
I don't think you're there yet.
It's the type of defense that is you're not going to be able to save yourself from mistakes. So making mistakes, like you have to put a premium on not turning that ball over. We'll see what happens. I'm a fucking like very miserable Bears fan. I always assume the worst. I am not a homer. I'm not a guy who thinks that, oh, my team's just going to win the Super Bowl every year. No, I think the worst is going to happen for my team because that's what I've come to expect.
I think that's why we get along so well, man. We're both realists when it comes to our teams, and we accept the fate before it's even here.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at their free agents. We kind of touched on a lot of these already, but yeah, you got Tremaine Edmonds. They gave 4 years, $72 million to, which, like Ryan, you were saying earlier, it's kind of just head scratcher that they would let Roquan Smith leave. Maybe he just wasn't getting along there. I don't know. Maybe new coach didn't see him as a good fit. I don't know. That's crazy. But
I think there was some contract stuff. I think he wanted to get paid, and
okay,
I think that was the primary reason why all this happened. But and he did go. Baltimore paid his ass.
Mm-hmm.
But what's his contract at? Like, what's he get paid
right now
compared to Tremaine Edmonds? Because I don't think it's that far off.
5 years, $100 million. Only 45 guaranteed. Oh no, 60 total to guaranteed.
Yeah, so he's getting
basically a 3-year contract.
But if you're looking at a per year basis, it's $20 million per year. You're paying Tremaine Edmonds $18 million per year. So
yeah, and even the guarantees are only the guaranteed is what you have to look at, and the guaranteed is only $3 million off.
Yeah, so I think the Bears lost so hard on that. Roquan Smith, to me, is one of those guys that could have had his name, in the books along there with Singletary and Urlacher and guys like that. Obviously, he's got a long way to go to prove he's got that type of career. But in terms of his talent and his production up to this point, he is a guy that's on that path. And for them to let him walk that way only to pay his replacement who's not as good is just such a big mistake and doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they brought in a guard, Nate Davis from Tennessee. Tennessee ended up drafting a guard, that guy from Northwestern. And then we got DeMarcus Walker. They brought in TJ Edwards. Man, they paid some. They had a lot of money to spend, though. And that's why we saw Nagwaku, however you said, he signed a couple of weeks ago, right? They gave him $10 million. They just basically had extra cap space. And they're like, let's sign a couple of these kind of freelancers so to beef up that defensive end. But
I think that's a guy who Eberflus knew from Indy, too. So that might be another reason they get Ngakoue.
That's a good point.
And if you scroll back up a little bit, the Edwards pickup, the TJ Edwards pickup, like I said, this is a guy who's the last 2 years very productive, at least in terms of a numbers standpoint. Now, when it comes to these outside linebackers, are they being productive because they're just that good? Is that just a scheme that they're working? Whatever. A guy who had around 100 tackles or so the last couple of years. When you look at combined tackles, way more than that, 150 or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe he does end up being very productive for them. Not necessarily the biggest like playmaker, but somebody who could be a real anchor for them, in the outside linebacker position.
And guess what? It's like a rental because it says 3 years, $19.5 million here. It's actually a 1 year, $8 million deal. So they can cut him after the season if it doesn't work out and not have any cap liability. Because he only had 7.9 guaranteed. So 1 year rental to see if it works.
Look at Robert Tonyan Jr. there, though. That's one that there's another tight end you bring in. He's a touchdown machine up there in Green Bay. Didn't do much beyond catching touchdowns in the red zone, things like that. But another guy you can add in there, maybe help bring Cole Kmet along a little bit. And then Travis Homer there, another running back out of Seattle. The guy's dealt with a lot of injury problems, things like that. But a guy's never really been able to stay in the lineup long enough to have his shot. So another guy that provides some depth in that running back room.
What do you guys think about
re-signing? They got Nathan Peterman back.
Yes, Nathan Peterman. Also, the actual backup quarterback, it says Phillip Walker here. We'll call him PJ Walker because that's what I know him as.
Oh man, I wouldn't know who Phillip Walker. I know PJ Walker. I wouldn't have known Phillip Walker.
Exactly. That's why it's kind of like I saw Phillip what, but PJ Walker is set right now to be a backup, and I I think it makes sense from a gameplay perspective.
Yeah.
A guy who is able to move, a guy who has very similar tools to Justin Fields, as opposed. I always am. It's always sketchy to me when you take a Baltimore, right? When you look at Baltimore and who their backup is, it makes sense because he's just not as good as Lamar Jackson, but it has a similar skill set. You don't want to put yourself in the position where Justin Fields is your primary and Nathan Peterman is your backup, who has none of the skills associated with Justin Fields, because then all of a sudden you're completely changing your offense.
Yeah, your whole offense has got to be different.
Yeah.
And once again, we keep talking about this all summer long. The best job in the NFL, backup quarterback. 2 years, $4.1 million. Man, easy to live in there.
To hang out and hold a tablet, man.
PJ Walker, was it XFL or AAF or what
it was
XFL?
XFL.
It was XFL. Yeah. Hey, listen, that made PJ Walker's career, to be honest.
Absolutely, man. He had that, wasn't it him that had that play against for the Panthers last year when they came back and beat the Falcons late?
I think so. And
yeah,
he got some
bomb.
opportunities with the Panthers. And all of a sudden you're making millions of dollars. So
right.
Yeah. Deborah Lynn over in the Rumble chat said, my grandson just met Justin Fields at football camp. It was the best day of his life. He loves the Bears, and Justin is his number one hero. That is awesome. Love to see that. Love to hear. That is awesome.
I love how Justin interacts with the fans. He seems like a good dude.
Yeah. I'm pulling for him.
Me too. I would love nothing more than to be wrong about how I feel Justin Fields' production will be. But
I hope he fails so I can talk shit, but that's just me.
Yeah.
just me. Okay, now we get to this is my favorite segment of our show, and God, I've missed it the last couple of days, Cricket. So Ryan, if you want to participate along with this, you can. You don't have to. What we do is we just go through the schedule, we look at it, and we just kind of guess the preseason lines because there's lines up on each of these games. What have we been doing, Cricket? 3.5? How many I can get exactly?
3.5
right?
been the over under for you, hitting them right on, man.
Cricket,
You've actually hit
always
the last 2 times, man.
Yeah, preseason betting lines. That's wild. But I'm not gonna be able to say I actually have to bounce. I got a lot of stuff going on today, but I'm glad I was able to wake up early and get my day started with you guys over here. So
man, we appreciate
that's awesome, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, thank you for coming in, waking up early, hanging out with us, talking to the Bears, and hey, we'll see what they can do, and maybe Justin Fields your quarterback.
I hope so. Maybe I need to buy a Justin Fields jersey just to show my support for him as much shit as I talk.
Hey, there you go.
Now, I don't have a single Bears player.
What?
I mean, come on. Who the hell do they have other than Cody Whitehair, who's been there for longer than like 3 years? I don't know who's on their team. Like, so Eddie Jackson maybe, but yeah, I have a Khalil Mack jersey. That's my most recent Bears jersey.
Okay, that's fair enough.
You might have to get you a Justin Fields jersey, man. Get you a Darnell Wright jersey. That'll be a safe pick.
There's no way I'm wearing a Darnell Wright jersey. But, all right, guys, I'm going to bounce. Have a good time.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
All right. See you later.
It was fun having him here. Thanks again, Ryan.
Man. Appreciate him squeezing some time in for us. I know he's a busy man, too. That's good looking out.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to our favorite segment, man.
You got that pulled up?
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Oh God, I might be a little rusty, and we're switching divisions and whatnot. So they're home against Green Bay. Oh God, why is the hook going to get me on this one? But I have to say, Bears 3.5 point favorites.
Chicago minus 2.5 at home against the Packers, minus 145 on the money line. Packers plus 115.
I think there's been some love on the Packers lately. Like no pun intended there. Just the market is shifting. The market's more shifting towards Green Bay. Like there's a lot more love in the betting odds, I think.
I'll tell you what, a good pun Ryan had earlier. I meant to bring it back up when you talk about the Michael Orr story, blindsiding the media. I was like, oh man, how we not even point that out there? That was well played.
Well, you know, he's a natural. He's good at making those videos and doing that. So
got that good radio voice, man.
Yeah, he does. He sounds good, man. He sounds real clear.
Solid.
Okay, so at your Tampa Bay Bucks, they've got to be. It's awful, man. 6 point favorites.
Oh man, you missed this one bad. Bears minus 1.5 at the Bucks, minus 122 on the money line. Bucks plus 102.
No way. I got to rethink.
That might be one spot I bet on my Buccaneers. Money line.
Oh, I'm glad Ryan left because this looks embarrassing from my performance right now. Jesus, dude, I thought everyone was. Listen, it's not what I make it. What I would make the line. It's what I think the market's at. But clearly, the market's not as high on Chicago as I thought they were. We're at Kansas City. Kansas City 7.5-point favorites.
Bears plus 9.5 at the Chiefs, plus 320 on the money line. Chiefs minus 410. For the record, I was betting the under.
Oh, I know you are.
I think you already knew that.
I know you are.
I'm gonna bet it till I win one.
Home against Denver. Denver 2-point favorites. 1
Ooh,
point
finally there's a hook. Bears plus 1.5 at home against the Broncos.
Either way, I got it either way.
Even money on the money line. Broncos minus 120.
Oh my god! All right, it's Thursday night football at Washington. Oh god, Bears. Let's see, they were at Tampa, Washington. Bears have to be a 1-point favorite in this one. Nope. Hold on. Thursday night, short week. Washington's a 1-point favorite.
Bears plus 1.5 at the Commanders, plus 102 on the money line. Commanders minus 122. 2 hooks in a row. I love it.
I know you do. Okay. Sunday, let's see. Sunday, it was Minnesota. Home against Minnesota. Minnesota 2.5-point favorites.
Bears plus 1 at home against the Vikings. Both teams are minus 110 on the money line.
Awesome. Home against the Raiders.
The Raiders.
Bears 2-point favorites in this one.
Bears minus 1 at home against the Raiders, minus 115 on the money line. Raiders minus 105. It's getting a little sketchy here.
I've had a few days off. You can tell. I've been busy.
That's very rusty. Man needs to get back in the batting cage.
Let's see. So then they're at the Chargers. Chargers 7-point favorites.
I didn't expect you to get this one. I didn't expect you to get this one. Bears plus 5.5 at the Chargers, plus 190 on the money line. Chargers minus 230. I feel like those 5.5 are so tough to see coming.
I also don't know why I picked 7. It's never 7. It's like 6.5 or 7.5. It's rare that
there's some 7s in here. You're okay taking 7. There's not a lot of 5.5s though.
That's true. At New Orleans. Let's see. So it's a terrible road. You gotta go down there. Gotta go there. New Orleans. New Orleans 4-point favorites.
Bears plus 2.5 at the Saints. Wow. You guys can get that even money right now. They are plus 124 on the money line. Saints are minus 148.
That must be a bad spot for the Saints or something. I don't know, man. Somebody's it's like they're high on the Bears, then they're not high on the Bears, and then I'm just like,
don't the Saints have to go overseas or something around that time? I think that.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what I'm not accounting for. All right. Then another Thursday night game, home against Carolina. That'll be a fun one.
A lot of teams this year with 2 Thursday night games. That's weird. I've never really seen that before this season.
I think it's a new rule that allows them to do that.
Yeah, because before you wouldn't see many teams having to play more than one. And usually the ones that had to play 2 is like those weird Thanksgiving games.
Oh, and it's also because the new rule that like not every team gets to play on Thursday night. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that was the rule. Yeah, there was a something in the offseason this year where they can flex it, and they can the NFL can make better games, and you're not guaranteed a primetime game, including Thursday night.
I don't know that they picked a real good one here with the Bears and the Panthers.
Hey, what are we at? What time
you're going to kick some teams out of Thursday night games. This is 2 teams you could have got rid of.
Yeah, but remember, this is where they're going to have a couple of their teams overseas in Germany. I think this is the week that the Patriots play. So, again,
Bryce Young, number 1 overall pick against Justin Fields. Yeah, you got all that. Okay, fair enough.
There could be a lot worse. We could have Arizona and Tampa Bay.
That's true. That's true.
Who I believe play the first week of the season. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so Chicago. I want to say 3, but I'm going to say 2.5-point favorites.
Love when the hook gets you. Bears minus 2 at home against the Panthers, minus 125 on the money line. Panthers plus 105.
Bear with Michigan says a London game. Yeah, there's several London games this year. I know the Jags have 2 of them.
Germany.
And 2 weeks in Germany games too. I believe the Chiefs playing
They do
against someone. Yeah,
They do.
and then it's the Colts and the Patriots and the other one. All right. At Detroit's division. Ooh, Detroit. 4.5 point favorites.
Yes. Bears +5 at the Lions, +170 on the money line. Lions -205.
Oh man, I'm not even gonna get one here, am I? At the Vikings.
These are tough. These are tough. And like you said, we switched divisions, so you don't have it on your mind. You've had a lot going on the last couple of days, so we'll forgive you if this is the first one you go under on. Now, if you don't
Bears
get at least one,
Bears 1 point favorite.
Oh no, sir. Bears +3.5 at the Vikings, +150 on the money line.
Oh
Vikings
shit! I had that backwards. I was thinking, I thought we were home again, or they were home against. Okay, that's why I'm so far off.
You'd have been close if they'd have been at home.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's why I was okay. Never mind. Detroit. Home against Detroit. They're just at Detroit. At Detroit. Home against Detroit. Detroit. $2.5 point favorites.
Bears +1.5 at home against the Lions. Even money on the money line. Lions -120.
I'm in my own head, man. I'm in my own head.
Overthinking it, bro.
At Cleveland. Man, this one's tough. At Cleveland 4.5 point favorites.
Bears +3.5 at the Browns, +145 on the money line. Browns -175.
Oh, you know what? I forgot. I didn't even get to drop Mommy Milkers while Ryan was here. I didn't get to introduce him to Mommy Milkers. There's so much going on that we're.
It happens, man. There's a lot going on.
I know. I feel a little rusty too. I'm in a new spot. Things sound weird to me.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, you have to once you get some stuff
hung up on the 3 a.m.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you've been wide open for a long time. Once you get some stuff hung up on those walls, take the echo and the vibration down.
Dude, this isn't even how I'm gonna have it set up. I only have it this way so I can have my phone closest to the window so I can get the best connection.
Right. That day, I understand that too. Are they gonna come get your internet fixed?
I'm scheduled for next Friday, but they said if there's a cancellation, then we're first in line. I'm hoping, but we'll see.
You've been knowing you were moving for 3 months.
Here's the thing. I set it up with Spectrum. And they said, yeah, we service your place. And so I figured, okay, they were here day one. If I would have known that Spectrum wasn't going to be able to do it, I would have had Ziply Fiber here, who actually, I guess, is really, really good in this area. So we're going to try them out. I would have had, they would have been set up already because they've already got their stuff there done. So I'm like,
God, you are in the fucking sticks, bro. They don't even have Wi-Fi out there yet. That's crazy.
No, dude. Somehow I got 5G ultra wideband like just down the road on my phone.
I envision you living like right in the middle. I don't know if you watch Yellowstone or not, but I envision you living like right in the middle of that.
I'm more towards, it'd be like Yellowstone, but like you're closer to the town. You're not out in the sticks. Like I can see way out in the sticks.
Right.
Beautiful.
Hell, out there you can see for days, man.
Yeah. But you look the other way and it's development, just you can see city stuff, or not city, town, small town, 27,000 people. So yeah.
Hey, Derpy in the house.
Derpy's in the house. What up, Derpy? How we doing this morning, buddy? The Chicago Mid Bears. That's funny. That's funny. All right, let's see if I can get this one. Home. Oh God.
Oh, this is gonna be a tough one.
5.5 point favorites.
Talked him right out of it. Bears -4.5 at home against the Cardinals. -198 on the money line. Cardinals +164.
Jesus. Okay, and then home against Hotlanta. Let's see. Bears 2.5 point favorites.
Bears -2 at home against the Falcons. -130 on the money line. Falcons +110.
This is it. At Green Bay. At Green Bay. Let's see. They were home against Green Bay. 2.5 points. Green Bay 1 point favorites.
Bears +2 at the Packers, +105 on the money line. Packers -125. There's the skunk, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh man.
Ooh, they should have paid me double for my under bet this morning.
Oh God. Patriot 4165 says fade Will's picks today. I might not even place a bet today. How about that?
Struggling. Hey, y'all know what Mama said.
Oh my God. That's funny. Dude, I will say this has been fun. Getting back into like doing this. I hate missing shows, dude. I hate missing.
I did too, bro.
The reason why I get up at the ass crack of dawn, actually before the sun's even up.
It helps me get motivated,
day,
man. It helps me get motivated for the day. If we don't get up and do this show, I have a harder time getting up and getting geared up.
You know, it was nice. I was checking my PO box. Bet Online sent me this little preview thing. Would have been nice to have earlier in the summer, but that's why I got to read up a little bit on the Chicago Bears. So I knew a little bit more than the average day on some of their picks and stuff like that and players.
That's
so
fair. That's
figured
fair.
I had time this morning. I might as well read through some of that.
Yeah, right. Some time to pass. I understand. We got to do baseball, man. I've been excited about baseball. I never thought I'd say.
I know we're gonna get to baseball, but we got to go over here. I had this pulled up in the name.
Look at me, man. I'm rushing. I'm trying to rush football away to get to baseball. What's wrong? I might be sick, man.
It's because of my piss poor performance.
You didn't inspire me.
No, I know. I'm sorry. Chicago Bears over under 7.5 wins. Ryan, I was going to say this to Ryan earlier. His expectations was 7 wins. I'm like, well, you're right there where the market's at. So you nailed that one. Over under 7.5 wins. I want to go look back at that schedule.
I think that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing going to happen to them. I think getting 6 or 7 wins. That's going to put them just far enough down the draft board to not really get anything they can be world changing for them. But they're also not going to make the playoffs. So that would be the worst case scenario for them.
Oh no. Okay. I was going to say they could start off 0-4, but they're probably not losing to Tampa. Let's be honest. But I mean, you could start off 1-3.
They could start off 3-1.
Lose to Green Bay.
They could start off 3-1.
You think they can beat Denver?
I think they could beat Denver at home, especially if it fools around and be one of them sloppy games like we saw last year. But I'm not sold on these Denver Broncos yet. They could. I'm not saying they will, but they could.
Week 4, we're gonna have a little. We're gonna have a little side bet. Week 4. I can feel it.
That's fair. We could now. I need to see what I get out of them the first 3 weeks. But as long as they're at least competitive in the game, they're not getting beat by 3 touchdowns every week. I think they're going to be in that game. And it's Denver, man. Like I said, Denver's one of those teams that I can see the Bears beating because I don't know that. This was the worst team in the league offensively last year in the Denver Broncos. Yes, I know they got Sean Payton. Yes, I know everybody expects Russell Wilson to have a better year, but I haven't seen it yet. And I don't know. This is the type team that the Bears could compete with because I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I'll tell you what, I'll bet the under that week. That's for sure.
But look at this stretch though. At Tampa, at Kansas City, home against Denver, and then at Washington. 3 of your 4 games, and that's a short week too at Washington. That's not a good favorable schedule, especially with a later bye week. And look at this. Yeah. Look at this. This is a London game. So at the Chargers, which is a London game, which I should have. No, wait, no, that's Sunday Night Football. Never mind. That's Sunday Night Football. That's PM. I thought it said AM. So look, they got Sunday Night Football at the Chargers. Next week they go at the Saints. Then they're home against Carolina. Then they're at Detroit, at Minnesota, in a Monday night game.
Yeah, but you got the Kirk Cousins effect too in the Monday night game.
But 4 of their 5 games are on the road, and 2 of those are in prime. No, 3 of those are in prime time. They do not have a favorable schedule.
I don't hate it though, because you look at those Chargers. That's a team that doesn't. It's not like they have that ultimate home field advantage. I mean, like I said, that'd probably be 50-50 Bears fans in that stadium.
I know, but what you're saying is under 7.5 wins, and you're going to give me plus money. I mean, that schedule is not looking
plus money. Yeah, plus money. That's a big difference. I'll take the plus money. I've never bet over on the Bears either.
Let's see. There was something on here. So Patriot 465 brought up something. Let's see. Where is it at? Here it is. I found it. He said, is there a prop for a tie in their schedule? I don't know about a specific team, but I saw this morning when I was looking at picks. It says, will the regular season end in a tie after overtime? You get plus 300 on the yes. I feel like that's a good bet. I'll get a little sprinkle, a little 3-1 that we're going to have one tie this year.
Absolutely. Well, we got 2 in the first week last year.
Yeah. I don't think
Literally,
any of
we
the
had
rest of
2.
the year, but
I just need 1.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm
little 3
definitely
to
3
1
to
on
1
your
on my money
money.
right there to bet to have how many games are played each week times
Yeah.
18. I mean,
You
shit.
got the shorter overtime, only 10 minutes.
I got basically 200 chances at 3 to 1 on my money. Shit, give me a spot.
Yeah.
I'll buy a ticket for that one. I like that a lot, actually.
There must be a reason why they're putting this up there. They want us to bet it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, here we are drinking the Kool-Aid already. Yeah. Give me 2 units on that thing. Do like my man Will does.
Give me 2 units, baby. Let's see what we got. NFL, no, not player futures. There we go. NFL futures, division futures. They're projected to finish last in the division, but I mean, compared to some of the other people projected last in their division, they actually have decent, not decent odds, but they actually have a shot to win the division because they're only plus 420. Whereas, you got like the Commanders that are plus 1200. So they're not your typical, and it's not saying that this division is all that tough either. It's just this division's a lot of unknown.
Yeah, a lot of unknown. Even the team favored to win it, we have a lot of unknown with.
God, yeah, we don't know how many more players are going to start betting on games that get caught.
That's true.
Sorry you didn't get to ask Ryan about that in the stream.
Oh, that ain't no big deal. Ain't no big deal. We got what we needed. We needed to hear about the Bears. He knew way more about the Bears than we were ever going to. Or anybody outside of the Chicago fan base is going to know.
Well, if you're really high on the Bears, you think that defense is going to turn around and Justin Fields is going to take the next step? Chicago Bears, 25 to 1 on your money to make it to the Super Bowl.
I think you're throwing it away. Go ahead and bet that if you hate money. If you're allergic to money, go ahead and bet that.
I think you bet it if you think that they have a good shot to make the playoffs. Because if they make the playoffs, then you can hedge against them.
I don't think they have any shot to make the playoffs at all. I don't see it, man. I don't see it.
Derpy says he has more optimism in Jordan Love in the Packers offense than he does with Justin Fields in the Bears offense. Interesting.
I think that's a fair point.
Agree with that? Yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
I think Jordan Love is a better pocket passer. He just is a better pure thrower, and we've seen the more pure throwers be more successful in the NFL. I like Jordan Love more than I do Justin. That's not to say Justin Fields won't be the better player over the course of a career, but right now, if I had to bet on who has a better, more successful career, I'm taking Jordan Love.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then if you're really optimistic on the Bears, 66 to 1 to win the Super Bowl.
Once again, if you hate money, go ahead and put you a double unit on that ticket.
I'll give you 100 to 1. If you want to book that, Bears fans, I'll book it for you. 100 to 1. How about that?
I'll give you 200. I'll do it. We'll auction this off. I need to practice for my auction drafts anyway. I'll give you 500. I'll really go above and beyond. I'll make it odds you can't refuse. Just go ahead and I'll give you guys my Venmo and Cash App and all that stuff. You go ahead and send that money on in.
Let's see. Okay. Dude, and then one of the most bet things, and we didn't get into this with Ryan, but Justin Fields only 18 to 1 to win the MVP. It's like one of the most bet props this offseason with the public. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Why? I mean, I don't think they're going to have a good enough season. He can have a great year and them still have a bad season. Like he really can. I don't, like I said, the defensive pieces are not there. He can have a great year and still the team not have a great season. And they're not going to give it to him if he throws for 4,000 yards and rushes for 1,000 and his team still goes 6-11. He's not going to win the MVP. I just don't see the team being capable to get to the level that he needs them to win the MVP. It's not to say he won't play MVP caliber football. I just don't think the team's going to perform at that level.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of go hand in hand.
And then Bears to make the playoffs, yes, plus 160. Oh.
And what is the no there? Minus
200. That might not be bad.
No, I'd lay 2 to 1 on my money for them to miss the playoffs. Because, like I said, that's another division. I don't see 2 teams coming out of possibly with the Vikings and Lions, maybe with a mix up there. But I don't see if 2 teams make the playoffs. I don't see the Bears or the Packers being one of those teams.
So from a betting standpoint, I kind of like under 7.5 at plus 110 better, because if you lose, yes, you could lose that one and still win this one, but the Bears 8 wins, you're not making the playoffs. 9 wins, you might make the playoffs with that
You're
7th
right there.
team now. So, but to me, so basically you're saying no, they're not going to get to 8 or 9 wins or 8 wins. But the straddle of, $1.10 there and the difference in the odds isn't worth the protection of that extra game. So I would rather bet under 7.5 with knowing that you have a chance to hedge out probably at the end of the season, because they're not going to go on a. It's going to probably come down to the end of the season whether they get to that 8th game or not. So I don't know. I think plus 110 is a better bet under 7.5.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm like you. Like, if I'm going to bet them to make the playoffs at plus 160 here, I'm going to go ahead and bet the plus 425 that they're going to win the division, because I think that's the only way they're going to make the playoffs. So I might as well go ahead and get that 4.25 on my money versus just a little over 1.5 on my money right there. Because like you said, I don't think 2 teams are coming out of this division going to the playoffs. I don't think the division is going to be that strong as a whole. And if the team that does make it, if the Bears do get 9 wins, then the other teams in this division are obviously struggling, because they're going to have to pick off some of those division games. But yeah, I think if I'm going to bet them to make the playoffs, I'm going to go ahead and just bet the plus 425 to win the division.
Let's see. Here's my thing. I think it's a reputation of the franchise's consistency every year. When I judge their records, it's not the players, it's the system and coaching, says Derpy. Yeah, which is a weird thing with the Bears, though, is like they're known for defense, and they were the worst defense in the league last year because they traded away all their guys.
Like I said, and I'm with Ryan. I don't understand, like you guys were talking about earlier, paying Tremaine Edmonds all that money.
That's what I was trying to get at with like the Roquan thing. If it was he wanted a contract extension, maybe they just didn't want to extend him last year and they wanted to wait until this offseason or whatever. But like maybe that was the deal, and that's why they went that route. But the money was pretty much the same. So I'm like, man, I would rather have Roquan than
yeah, absolutely. Roquan's top 3 linebacker in the league.
Maybe they're just gonna make it work last year. I don't know.
Yeah, not that Tremaine Edmonds is a bad player. And like you said, maybe there was some stuff in-house with Roquan, some disagreements, things like that. There was some drama throughout his career in Chicago there, some disgruntlements and things like that. So maybe that had a lot to do with it. Just not on the same page with the new coaching staff and all that. Maybe Tremaine Edmonds was a better fit. I don't know. If I'm going to pay somebody that much money, I would have paid Roquan.
I'm right there with you. Okay, you got anything else you want to look at, or do you want to get into baseball?
No, I believe that's it. I'll give you my prop. Let me see what.
Oh yeah, give us your prop.
Find it here. Justin Fields to have 200 plus rush yards in any regular season game. This is going to be a stretch, but it's plus 1,000, 10-1 on my money right here. And Justin Fields had those games last year. I think he had about 176 or 171 in one game last year rushing the ball. So he's a guy that's capable of breaking one of those 80-yard runs. He winds up doing that in the first quarter. The way this offense is going to play and the way he plays the game, getting outside of that pocket and being able to scramble and make plays with his legs, Justin Fields could come down to a spot here where he has to run the ball a lot and control the game. I like that at 10-1 right there. Justin Fields, 200 plus rush yards in any regular season game.